think CIFO made a very good argument that aid is very important, but it's only one part of it. And actually you need enterprise, you need economic growth in order that one day those countries will have enough money to be able to pay for their health and education services themselves. You can't cut it off when they can't do that, but equally that's not good enough on its own. You've got to put some other things in place as well. You know, that's really important. And as far as all the time that I meet poor people, what they want is actually some money in their pocket. They want a job if possible, though jobs are more complicated because so much of the developing world is in agriculture, and that's, you know, it's a more mixed bag of things you do. But people want to make their own way in life. They don't want to be dependent on aid. That's, it's too threatening, actually. If you haven't got a way to, you know, support yourself, life is a very uncertain thing.
Is there such a thing as bad aid? And has that sort of Dambisa critique made you think more about what people are doing?
Oh no, there certainly is bad aid. I mean, there's aid that just goes in and gets paid to a whole load of consultants from the country that's concerned, so the money just flows straight back out. No jobs are created, expats are brought in, whatever. There's aid going in without the proper controls on, so that it does get into, you know, people's hands in a corrupt way and is misspent on, you know, big white elephants. There's plenty of bad aid, but I think over the years we've learned quite a lot about what good aid is. But also we've learned that you've got to get the people of the country themselves really holding their own governments to account for the way aid is spent. And if that means the budget on the school door, so that that local village can see what aid ought to be coming, what budget, not aid, but what budget should be coming from their government, so they can demand that. That's the sort of situation that we want. So governments are really held to account by their own people.
And how about, you know, we were talking with Guy right at the beginning. Guy was talking about making philanthropy really a core part of how his business works, how they think about it. Have you been working on that?
Yeah, a lot, but
a leading question there.
Yeah, no, I'd go even one step further. We talked about enterprise and economic growth. If you want that, the best thing that companies can do is actually work in their core business in a way that actually helps poor people. Now, not every business can do that, but there are an awful lot that can. For instance, we work with...
So instead of doing something totally on the side...
Separate, change your core business, see what you can do to make a difference. Now, the example I want to give is the work that we're doing with Unilever. Unilever is buying up vegetables out of supply chains for, in this case, it's North Stock cubes. Now, we've got really a 5-term arrangement now with them that in Azerbaijan, actually, we will be organising the farmers into producer organisations and Unilever helping with the agronomy work, so that actually Unilever will be buying 10% of their global supply of onions in 3 years from Azerbaijan. Now, that's fantastic for the poor farmers because they have a guaranteed contract, and that's what they're looking for.
Are the Azerbaijani onions good enough?
Well, no, but that's why the agronomy, they're working on the onions too. That's what Unilever are doing to get the onions to the right quality, which is something that we can't do. We can help organise the farmers. We can't do that level of quality input. So there's a real partnership there. But I mean, supply chains aren't the only thing. For instance, we've got an arrangement now with Nokia, actually, looking at a joint co-creation about all the different ways that mobile phones could help poor people in their own businesses, which of course has already started, but looking for new ways of doing that. Now, that's core business work as well. Now, for other companies, they can't do that. It's not obvious how they would engage. But there are lots of...
Kids?
Well, you're pretty deep in. Yeah, we're engaged anyway
we're
together.
Working a lot together. Actually, Oxfam's our partner. And,
yeah.